Geico presents Our Town Season 4, a 30-minute podcast produced by Best Bark Communications, a small but fierce client-centered marketing company powered by decades of experience and well-established business networks. Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. Now, here's your host, Andy Ockershausen.
This is Andy Ockershausen, and this is Our Town, and I'm welcoming an old friend who's not old, he's a young man. He's the CEO of the Junior Tennis Championship Center in College Park, Maryland. But before that, he was Ray Benton, and will always be Ray Benton, Mr. Tennis to me. Ray, welcome to Our Town.
Thank you, Andy. Great to see you.
Well, you know, you've done so much, Ray, in your career, and realizing you're from Iowa, I keep wondering, how did you get connected with all the people you got connected with in Washington? You went to school there. You were born there in Iowa?
No, but I lived there since I was 8 years old.
Is that it?
And I wish you'd say Iowa with a bit of respect. Well, I mean, you're very degrading about Iowa.
I remember State Fair was a great movie. You remember that about Iowa? Now, but how did you get to Pennsylvania to Wharton?
Well, I grew up in Iowa City, where the university is, of course.
Right.
My parents were actually professors there.
Wow.
And so I went to undergraduate and law school there. And then I decided that I'd rather not go to a place called Vietnam. So I went to business school at Wharton and got drafted right out of there. And
did your time anyway.
I did my 2 year.
But the war was winding down, I'm sure.
No.
This was still hot when you were
No,
there?
in fact, I was on orders for Vietnam as an infantry rifleman in 1967.
A grunt.
Which is like a death sentence. But I was very fortunate. I had been working as a legal clerk in the legal office at Fort McClellan, Anniston, Alabama.
Alabama, yeah.
And I was waiting for my commission in the JAG. And all of a sudden, pending my security clearance. So all of a sudden I was on orders as an infantry rifleman, which I'd just taken advanced infantry training. and my commission to JAG came through, which had been 4 years. And I said, I really don't want to spend 4 years, and I really don't want to go to Vietnam as an infantry rifleman. And my boss, who was the judge advocate, said, God, I'd like to keep you. I said, why don't you make me a legal clerk? Because I was an infantry rifleman.
Right.
Just
that was your MOS, right?
On my MOS and 11B10. And I was just waiting for my orders to become an officer. Right. And so he looked in the regs and he found 90 days on the job training, I can make you a legal clerk. And
wow.
I'd been there 4 months. So he made me a legal clerk, which got me off the orders, and I dropped my commission.
Did you ever get the commission?
No, I dropped it because I didn't want to spend 4 years. So by then I'd been in for 8 months. So I can gut it out as a listed man for another 16 months. So,
and you did?
Oh, I had a great time.
In Alabama, or they move you around?
No, I was in Alabama the whole time. I'd go to work at 5 in the morning. I'd be done at 1 in the afternoon.
And play tennis.
And after 1 o'clock, I was the varsity tennis coach at Jacksonville State University. I was the head tennis pro at the Anniston and Gadsden Country Clubs. And a substitute business law professor.
Jackson State was in?
Jacksonville State in Alabama.
Well, isn't there a Jacksonville in?
There's a Jacksonville State in Florida, too.
In Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
A great basketball program at one time.
Remember Artis Gilmore?
Absolutely. 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with youth tennis in Iowa?
Oh, yeah, I worked my way through college as a teaching pro in Dubuque, Iowa.
Right.
At the country club. I started the program. And I met a guy named Bob Lang, and I taught him to play tennis. And so as I was getting out of business school, he asked me to go to work for him. And he invented the plastic ski boot. Ski boots were all leather before Bob Lang. He came up with a plastic ski boot.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And he's from the Midwest?
Dubuque, Iowa.
Wow.
I want you to say that with respect.
I remember the leather ski boots.
You're a damn Eastern snob, So
I always thought you were a snob, but I didn't know it was Eastern. Ivy League.
Yeah, Ivory League. Yeah. So he asked me to go to work for him to develop the first plastic tennis racket.
Wow.
So I went there, and I told him, I said, look, we should be having a tennis tournament. to tell the world we're getting into tennis and tell the world we're moving from Dubuque to Denver. And then I was still in school when I asked him. He said, yeah, just go ahead and do it. So
this was after the Army? Or
this is after the Army, and I'd gone back to Wharton to finish my MBA. So I was commuting back and forth between Denver and Philadelphia, putting together this tournament. And I had it all set to be the week after the U.S. Open. This is 1969. But there was one problem. The Davis Cup captain for the U.S. didn't want his players playing the week after the U.S. Open.
Who was it, Stan Smith?
No. It's some guy named Dell. Oh. So Donald
was
said,
Donald a non-playing captain?
Yeah.
Or was he playing then?
No, he was the captain. He had the world champion. He did a great job with it. And he said, look, we're playing Cleveland the last week of September. We're playing Romania in Cleveland. He said, if you'll move your tournament to the next week, I'll get you everybody who played in the Davis Cup.
Wow.
So we had Ashe, Smith, Lutz, Pasarell, Tiriac, and Nastase.
The hoi polloi.
Yeah. So it was great.
Was that your first interplay with Donald?
Yeah.
That's where you met?
And then he got his players for the next year. It was called the Lang Cup.
69 was the Washington Star tournament, the first one here in 69. Was Donald promoter of that tournament?
Right.
And I think Cliff Richey might have won it. I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
Maybe Thomas Koch, I think.
Where was he from? Brazil?
Brazil, yeah.
Well, but that got you involved in tennis in a different world then. I mean,
Well, I was doing professional tennis then.
Yeah, but you had finished school at Wharton and you were ready to hang up your own shingle, huh?
Well, I was ready to get a job, so I got a job with Bob Lang, and after 2 years, then Donald said he was starting a law firm, and would I like to join him? And I said it'd be great. So I came here in '71.
Right after that, he had just worked for the governor, the guy running for governor of Virginia, and Donald did some work with the Peace Corps too. I remember that.
He was very close to Sergeant Shriver.
Yeah, he was close to
the Peace Corps.
Right, I knew that, and he was also backing a political figure at that time, as I recall.
He's working close to Bobby Kennedy.
One of the Reynolds, I think.
Bobby Kennedy.
Well, that was something. Yeah, he was deep into that. He traveled for Kennedy, I think.
Well, Billy Reynolds was a good friend of his and Lee Fentress. Yeah, but I don't remember him being involved in politics. He was involved I think it was Reynolds Aluminum.
Oh, well, it's family.
In Richmond.
And Reynolds Tobacco. That's all the same family.
Is it?
Yes, sir. They're different branches of the same family.
Because tobacco's in North Carolina.
Yeah. But we're talking about money, too, on both things.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Ray Benton, and we've gotten away from tennis, but he's talking about people, and people are more important than tennis, Ray. But you knew so many, many people. We're going to talk about that. And this is Our Town, and this is Andy Ocker's house, and talking to Ray Benton.
The natural habitat of a creepy doll is a horror movie. It can't help being creepy. It's that small, fixed smile and those never-closing eyes, always watching you, plotting, which you're imagining. It's mindless. But when the creepy doll hears that Geico not only saves people money, but also gives them easy access to emergency roadside service through an award-winning app, it knows you should switch. Because yes, switching to Geico is a no-brainer. The only question is, how did the creepy doll move from the bedroom to the hallway? I would get out of the house.
This is Sonny Jurgensen. Got a confession to make. I let my wife drag me to one of those Mike Collins estate planning seminars. Like I don't have enough on my plate with a certain football team. Actually, it wasn't too bad. In fact, we both learned a whole lot about how to protect our kids and grandkids down the road and to take care of ourselves right now. So if you get one of Mike's invitations in the mail, go. I'm glad I did. Get all the information and register online at MikeCollins.com. That's MikeCollins.com.
You're listening to Our Town with Andy Ockershausen. Brought to you by Best Bark Communications.
This is Andy Ockershausen. This is Our Town with our very, very special friend and special guest, Ray Benton, who, man, has been a huge influence on tennis, not only locally, but I would say around the world. Naturally, you've been to tournaments and provided people to play in these tournaments everywhere. When did you give up your career playing?
Oh, I never really had one.
Well, you did something, right? You were teaching. You must have had a lot of people.
Well, no, I mean, I started late, but I did play for the University of Iowa.
Yeah.
And
A tennis gridiron tennis store, right?
actually, we were third in the Big Ten.
Is that right?
We had a pretty good team. Well, I was number 6. Let's get that straight. And I was a pretty darn good teacher. I was a very mediocre player.
Well, your career shows that. You,
Yeah, I mean, I was a
brought
good
a lot
teacher.
of people along.
So, you know, then I played in the Army. You know, I played for the 3rd Army team. But I was always kind of
Fort
mediocre.
McClellan, Alabama, huh?
Yeah.
Good
So,
for you.
and it was a real, yeah, I mean, it was a tennis hotbed. But anyway, so then I joined, you know, Donald, who had been number 1 in the country in junior tennis, and you know, played Davis Cup, and Lee Finch was a top 20 in the country.
You
And we're representing Arthur Ashe and Stan Smith. And they said, "Are you a good tennis player?" I said, "Hell no." Because, yeah, I mean, I could win my tennis club championship, but in that crowd,
No, that's right. That was the thing. But you were with, right, when Donald came back from his sojourn with the Peace Corps and the people, I know his story because he came to WMAL to his tournament, which
Sure.
the Star got the name, but we paid the money because the Star didn't have any money.
oh, interesting.
But Donald has been a friend for 100 years, as he is to you. But you had a lot of characters in that law firm, did you not? I mean, I think of someone like, you said Solomon was not a partner, but
Well,
Fentress
he
was.
became president after I left. See, we were a law firm. It was called Dell, Craighill, Fentress, and Benton.
Right.
And then we started a marketing company called ProServ.
ProServ.
Okay. But
Was
that,
there a name before ProServ?
Well, actually, it was Professional Services, Inc.
Something like that.
And we used to, as slang, we'd say ProServ. But then we found out there was a company in town that cleaned carpets and drapes called Professional Services, Inc. So we were getting their calls.
I hope you're getting their
And
clients.
we had some
still.
expertise, but that was not one of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, after our law firm split up in '83, our principal business was ProServ. In other words, we used to be a law firm that had a marketing affiliate. We became a marketing company that had a small law firm, and then so
just
we
reversed it.
So we became Dell, Benton, and Falk was our
Right.
law firm. But it basically I went from carrying a law firm card to a ProServ card as the basic identity.
Always here in Washington. It was
Yeah.
always your headquarters here.
Yes.
The tournaments you were
We had
running out of
offices
Washington.
all around the world, but you know,
Yeah, well, worldwide, of course.
yeah.
So where does this leave you, though? You're with the great bunch of people, but they all left. And left
Well, not
you.
all of them.
Well, you
About
know,
40
Donald stayed.
About 40% of them left.
Yeah.
No, you
Right.
mean when we split in '83?
I remember that.
Yeah,
vividly.
Frank and Lee started a company called Advantage International,
Right.
and I think they took 45% of the people.
What was
It was
their name?
almost-
What do they call it? Advantage? Yeah.
And that's now called Octagon.
Octagon. Octagon's pretty big, right, in the business?
Yeah, they're quite big. And then, so we stayed ProServ,
Right.
and we became ProServ as our major identity. And then I stayed for another 3.5 years, and I left at the end of '86.
Well, and then this is your big tournament was here in Washington with Donald's big tournament, correct?
Right.
And then he went around the world, of course, doing tournaments and becoming a commentator and a talent. Why didn't you follow it down and they put you on television?
Because I have a face made for radio.
I would have said that, but you're right. So Ray Benton, so you're in Washington, you're still here, and where is the idea to come to establish this huge tennis center that you put together in College Park?
Well, I'd like to say it was my idea, but it wasn't. It was Ken Brody's idea. Ken Brody was originally from this area, went to Maryland, was a great student, then went to Harvard Business School, and then went to Goldman Sachs and went to the management committee.
Wow.
He was a
Big time.
big guy there.
Was he a big tennis player at the time?
He came late to the game, but he was a real fanatic.
Right.
He then came down here. He was a big fundraiser for Bill Clinton in '92, and he was made CEO of the Export-Import Bank.
Wow.
And he always wanted to, and he was
The
my
payback,
neighbor.
huh?
Yeah, he always wanted to do something in tennis, and I was his neighbor, and so we went around and looked at a lot of different places. He wanted to help hardworking kids get college scholarships. So he started JTCC in 1999. We'll have our 20th anniversary next year.
I can't believe
and
it.
then
Goes so fast.
So for the first 9 years, I often kid him. I said I was his very badly paid tennis consultant. And
well, you were going from the law firm. Had you set up your own law firm then, or you
I've
practicing?
I've never practiced law. I mean, I went to law school to avoid the draft. Right. I was a great patriot, right?
you had your chance, right?
Yeah. Well, I went.
Well,
anyway,
that's a great story. I lived through it from the outside looking in, seeing all these things going on in your life and your wife's life and your great Thanksgiving party you used to have. You still have the party?
You got your invitation, I hope.
You're going to have it this year?
Yeah. Paperless post. Did you not get?
Remember, we always got invited to his Thanksgiving party.
You're still
Janice
invited.
And I.
You're still invited.
You still living in the same house?
You can't talk about it. You'll have 10,000 people come off the podcast.
I believe that. This is our town, and this is Andy Ocker's house, and I'm talking to Ray Benton, and we'll be back to talk about his tennis center.
Hi, I'm Charles Mann. For athletes like me, playing every down in a pro game is like getting in a car accident. After years of playing football in Washington, my body is broken. I've had countless surgeries and joint replacements. I've been looking for a non-surgical treatment since I ended my career. I heard a radio ad for a seminar about alternative treatment. It's called regenerative medicine, which stimulates your own body to heal and repair itself. No surgery, no more pain. That got my attention. I went to the seminar to learn firsthand all about it. Now you too can benefit and receive this treatment. This is the same procedure that pro athletes use to quickly and effectively recover from injury. If you're looking to eliminate your pain and arthritis, or if you thought surgery was your only option, take the first step like I did. Call 410-787-7250. Register for the next seminar and learn more about this breakthrough procedure. Seating is limited. Register now by calling 410-787-7250 and start living life again.
Hi, Tony Sybil here to tell you about Tony and Joe's and Nick's Riverside Grill at Washington Harbor in Georgetown. Spectacular new restaurants. We've spent a lot of time rebuilding. You'll love it. It's really fantastic. For any information, you can go online to tonyandjoes.com. It'll be a wonderful experience for the whole family. Call 202-944-4545 to make reservations. Everything is fabulous. You got to come down and have some wonderful food.
You're listening to Our Town with Andy Ockershausen.
This is Andy Ockershausen talking to Ray Benton and realizing he promoted one of the great tennis tours of all time called the Nuveen Tour. I recall in 93, 94, you would promote a tournament in Florida and gave Janice tickets with Sonny and Margot Jurgensen to a night match we went to.
In Naples?
Yeah, Naples.
Yeah.
That was saying it's a Ritz-Carlton or someplace.
That's right. It was the finals of our tour.
Right. It was a big
it was a
event.
35 and over tour.
Wow.
And Jimmy Condors and I were partners. We started it. And then our first players were, of course, Jimmy played, but Borg, Vilas, Clerk.
The great names.
Tanner, Gerolitis. We had a lot of fun.
Is Clerk the one from South Africa?
No, Argentina.
What's the tennis?
Creek. You're thinking of Creek. Johan Creek also was one of them.
From South Africa,
yes.
Right? Yeah. We met his wife. She ran a store or something down in Naples.
Tish.
But I recall the Nuveen Tour was a huge success.
Yeah, we did.
How many years did that live?
We went, I sold out in 1999. We started in 93.
Yeah, in 93.
Actually, the first 2 years we were the Champions Tour, and then we brought Nuveen as the title. And then McEnroe joined, and Noah and Valander.
It's almost like playing round robins, weren't they?
Yeah, well, we had 23 events a year around the world.
Wow.
And then
23.
we owned 11 of them here in the States and operated them, and then we licensed out the others.
And the players went with overseas with the tour?
Oh, it was a rebirth. I mean, they made a lot of money.
Champions, my God, you put them on the map.
Well, I didn't put them on the map. Maybe extended their careers.
But as old dogs, you put them on the map. Now, what have you done for women's tennis?
Well, we were, at ProServ, our law firm, we were one of the first Virginia Slims promoters. Professional tennis started in 1973, and there were 7 events, and we had 2 of the 7. We had one in Washington.
Yeah.
Remember out at Pook's Hill?
I remember the one at Pook's Hill.
And then I had one in Denver.
And you had some really famous women playing in that.
Well, Billie Jean played.
Yeah.
Nancy Richey played. And, it was going to be a great risk, women's professional tennis. And we had to put up $25,000 in prize money and then, hire a staff and, rent a facility and so forth. And Virginia Slims was giving us 18 of the 25 and plus a lot of promotion. But still, it was new and you never knew. So
cigarettes became unpopular.
Well, that was later. But so we announced the tournament and we were doing okay. We had Billie Jean and Nancy Richey and Rosie Casals. Good names, right?
Absolutely.
But then there was this little girl in our draw that nobody had heard of who beat Margaret Court a month before the event, and her name was Chris Evert.
The kid from Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, so we sold out every session. It was a great success.
I'll bet.
And then we went the next year there. Then we went to a bigger facility. We went to the old George Mason field house with about 4,000 seats.
I know. It's not the Patriot Center, much smaller than that.
Yeah, it's much smaller. And then we went down to GW.
I remember the Smith Center.
We opened the Smith Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put them on national television, and it was great.
You did a lot, Ray. My God.
Well, I'm 103 years old.
Well, you don't look at Ray. You look only 100.
Thank you.
Now,
and let's show some respect for Iowa.
UI. Ray, but how did you get into the junior tennis? All this time you're running tours, you're traveling and so forth,
right,
and running the country and the world in tennis.
Well, no, but I sold the senior tour in 2000.
Who would buy the tour? Some operators?
Well, Connors sold his 50% interest to IMG in about 1997, and I sold my interest to a promoter in London who had done a lot of events. And then actually IMG ended up buying him. So, anyway, so for seven years, I was a consultant to various nonprofit organizations and sports organizations.
Right.
And then I was explaining. Then Ken Brody asked me in 2008 if I would, take over this wonderful place that he had built. And so I've been doing that
to run the show.
To be 10 years.
I thought those courts were owned by the county or the university.
No, we leased the land from the Parks Department.
Who owned the land?
National Capital Parks.
Oh, is that right?
Maryland National Capital Parks.
Right.
Which is Prince George's and Montgomery. Right. Although Prince George's is pretty independent, and that's who we lease it from.
And Montgomery County and Prince George are both involved in that, correct?
Well, we only deal with Prince George's County because we're in Prince George's County.
Well, your kids come from all over, though.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Do you recruit them, or the parents send them?
Well, we have coaches out at tournaments all the time, and we don't believe in aggressive recruiting. We believe in getting our story out. We're pretty well known. I mean,
I would say
our kids probably win 70% of all the sectional championships, and last year we had 60 kids go to the national super tournaments.
60?
60, yeah.
In the various age groups, of course.
And over 8 age groups.
Well, who supports them on travel? The
we're a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So we're always out raising money, but 70% of our revenues come from operating revenues. From people. If you can afford to pay, you do. We're just like a private school.
I see.
It's expensive, and you say I can't afford it. You say, well, apply for financial aid.
Got it. And then you go through that.
The parents send in their tax returns and obligations and so forth. But we gave out over $800,000 of financial aid last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that never bothered you because you had rich parents when you were in Iowa.
Yeah, college professors that were really wealthy.
They were knocking down on you on the university. But Ray, what is the bottom line on this school? I mean, the kids get good and graduate, don't they? Then they go on to another life.
The bottom line is we provide the training and the opportunity for any of a hardworking kid of any demographic to earn a college scholarship. Our kids have earned $8 million worth of tennis scholarships in the last 6 years. And that doesn't include the ones that go to Division III schools or Ivy League schools and get, financial-based aid.
That's an enormous number.
Yeah. And then we've had 2 kids turn pro, and we get a lot of publicity for that. Francis Tiafoe, of course, is now 20 years old and 40 in the world.
Right.
Dennis Kudla is 60 in the world.
Can they move up? They're on the tour now, then, right? They're out playing.
He's 40 in the world in men's tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dennis is 25 years old. He's 60 in the world. I think he'll get to the top 40.
Even at 40 and 60, they get money when they play in these tournaments.
Oh, my God.
Do they not?
Oh, yeah. They'll both earn over $1 million in prize money.
Is that right?
Francis is still young. He will definitely be top 10 in the world. He was the best junior in the world 3 years ago.
Well, they used to have a junior tournament and then a junior tournament, didn't they? I guess they have them in 3 age groups now.
At the Grand Slams, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, the Grand Slams, they have an 18 and under junior championship. And we have kids playing every year in different tournaments.
Well, whatever happened to all the great doubles players from Washington? I don't hear about it anymore. The family, where are the
McNair?
Yeah. Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie's still
and
around.
the McNairs, one of the kids got in the Davis Cup, didn't he?
No, Freddie was number 1 in the world in doubles.
In doubles, right.
Yeah.
The son.
Yeah.
Not the old man.
Yeah.
The old man went
the old man
went to North Carolina. Didn't he?
Freddie Jr. did, yeah. But the father had lots of gold balls in senior tennis and also father-son tennis.
They won the father-son with a different son all the time.
I think he won it with 3 different sons.
Isn't that amazing?
He was a genius
But
at
local
doubles.
people.
Yeah.
I miss Fred. He's not around anymore, but he was a local character.
He was fun.
Of some sort.
Great fun.
And you had a lot of local characters in your business, too, with Donald Dell. I mean, and...
no, we had a lot.
I'm thinking
we had a good group.
Austin was one of your clients, wasn't it?
No.
Patty Austin?
No. Tracy Austin.
Tracy Austin.
And her brother, Jeff.
He plays here in Washington.
He's moved back to California.
Oh, he did?
He worked with us, but then when our law firm split, he went with the other guys.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to see him at Army Navy. He played over there.
Oh, he's
all
still
the time.
Well, he played on the tour.
Well, how about, what's her name, Sarah Fornaciari?
She still is a consultant with me.
Is she working with
you?
Yeah,
we're starting to get used to each other.
She's a great gal.
We've only worked together for 44 years. We're starting to get used to each other.
I would call her Madam Costume. She hated being an agent, she told me. I don't mind selling equipment, but I don't want to fool with these prima donnas.
That's baloney.
Have to manage them, right?
She had Tracy. She had Pam Shriver. She had Zena Garrison.
She had a babysitter a lot, she told me.
Of course, that's just part of the deal. But she had great
good
clients.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she loved the work.
She was just complaining to be heard.
Sarah's a good girl.
Still is.
Well,
no, she works with us. She's a consultant to us. She puts on our gala. In fact, she's out at JTCC right now. The only reason I came to see her, I was trying to get away from her.
She's not that bad. So what's in the future for Ray Benton? You've conquered now with this club that you've established, and you've established a great program in College Park. Is that
lot more to
continue?
Be done. A lot more to be done. And we've got to rebuild the base of our sport. I mean, tennis participation's been going down in the United States for 40 years. It's ridiculous.
And golf's been going up.
Well, golf was going up. It's suffered pretty badly in the last 6 or 7 years, but it has a much bigger financial base.
Oh, of course. But what do you think about this thing that the team tennis, the WTT?
It's a great format. It really is entertaining, and for 2 guys and 2 girls to get together and be able to play is wonderful. I think the great potential in it is at the grassroots level, because in clubs and in recreation, right. And I think once that happened and people became used to the grassroots format, then they would be much more supportive of the professional format. The professional format is terrific, but a lot of tennis traditionalists say, "Oh, that's not really tennis," and they won't support it.
Well, that's true. That was a statement from Donald way back when he was worried about the tournament starting. We were doing publicity because we liked the idea of it at Comcast Sportsnet, and carried the events and worked the deal out with the promoter. And Janice and I attended several of them. I thought it was a terrific show.
It's good
you
fun.
know, it was a show.
Yeah.
And it was entertaining. And people that were in the stands were in it, and they were talking to each other. And
Yeah.
I thought it had a great chance. But the venue, we lost that venue in Washington. I don't like it in the Smith Center.
You don't? Oh,
No.
I
I like
think-
that thing when we were down on the wharf and sitting there. And
no, that was terrific. But, you know, to me, it's just too risky. I mean, if you only have 7 games,
I understand that.
and if it rains, you're really in trouble.
You're absolutely right.
And I happen to like the Smith Center because, as I say, we put it on the map with
Sure
the
you did.
Virginia
The tournament.
Slims.
I remember Cliff Richey playing there in cold weather. Pat Summerall played a exhibition match there. Did you know that? Sonny and Pat.
At the Smith Center?
Yes. In one of these events that's going on. I'm serious.
I don't remember that.
I'm sure it was something that Donald promoted or whoever promoted at the Smith Center.
No,
Pat
actually, I
Summerall was a pretty good player.
I was the tournament director for every tournament there.
Were you?
So, but they did do some exhibition
Yeah.
events there that I wasn't involved in.
It was
Yeah.
exhibition there.
Yeah.
But Ray, what is your future with the club? Are you going to stay involved in that? Of course.
I mean, I love it.
But all this traveling you're doing, you travel with the kids?
So not much.
On the last tour, you weren't with them when you went to the Orient?
Oh yeah. We went with 4 of the kids
You
to
were like
Japan.
babysitters?
No. I mean, I just went to support them, and we wanted to do a bike trip in Vietnam anyway. So decided it's the same.
You've probably
neighborhood.
been in the French vineyards. You've probably done the wine country on your bike, haven't you?
Oh my God, I was in that business and
I remember your biking
failed
exhibition.
miserably at it. But I've probably done 40 bike trips in my life.
Maybe you're ahead of your time, Ray, with that bike thing that you had. You never can tell.
That's a nice
People are
interpretation.
biking now.
Thank you.
You get your money back. Huh? Well, Ray Benton, there's not many things in this world you haven't conquered, but what you've done for tennis is legendary because the kids are our future. Too bad you didn't have Arthur Ashe when he was a kid and John Lucas. You know, all the great players that have been through here.
We've been Francis Tiafoe. He's going to be
He's going to be there. He's 40th in the world now, huh?
He's 20 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where is he from? Is he an inner city kid?
He's from College Park.
A local boy, really
Oh
local.
yeah, no. His father used to be in charge of the maintenance at our place. His father was an immigrant from Sierra Leone. It's a wonderful
And he
story.
brought the kids to the tournament, to the place while he worked, huh?
Exactly. That's how they
Introduced
got
him to tennis.
Yeah, good. Look, there's a major article. I'll send you a copy of the article.
Love to see it. Love to
The
read it.
Washington Post front page.
And this kid really made it.
Yeah, no, he has a big upside from here.
And you fired the dad.
No.
The kid's got money. You didn't need him anymore. Ray Benton, you've done so much for tennis. I mean, it's incredible that. So glad that we could talk things I've known you for 50, 60 years. I've never known everything. And that's one of the reasons we're doing Our Town. We're
Good.
talking to people
Old
about their
people.
background. Old people, young people, you know.
Yeah.
The guy who was before you brought us this thing about
I'm gonna go on Amazon and buy that book right
50
now.
years.
Yeah.
He was a grunt at 20 years old, and he didn't want to go, but they drank his ass out of school and sent him over there. But he's had a wonderful career. But you know,
How
he
long
made
was
the
he in?
statement as everybody at your age. I was too old for be involved in that. Thank God I missed it. But everybody was involved in that. It's so glad it got over with because they knew they were losing right off the bat. They couldn't win that war. No way.
No.
Politicians.
I got to tell you something though. We just went on our own terms on vacation. It's a beautiful country.
Everybody says
And the
it's
people
wonderful.
are so nice and so hardworking and personal service oriented. They're terrific.
Did you go to the beach at all? A beachy
yeah.
area?
Yeah.
People have
We
been
had
there.
a
tell me.
hardship duty. We were at 4 seasons on the beach in Vietnam.
Did you get to Hanoi?
Yes. Yeah,
Well,
we-
and you took your bike trip all over. Did you get up in the highlands? You can't go up in a bike.
No. We were 4 days there. Then we went 2 days to Cambodia, and went Angkor Wat is one of the great wonders of the world.
I'll bet it is. I've heard about it.
Yeah.
We'd like to see that someday, wouldn't we, Janet?
Do it.
Do it. Ray Benton, it's been a great pleasure to have you, and God bless you and what you've done for tennis and what you've done for the young people of Greater Washington. This is Andy Ockersell, and this has been Our Town.
You've been listening to Our Town Season 4, presented by Geico, our hometown favorite, with your host, Andy Ockershausen. New Our Town episodes are released each Tuesday and Thursday. Drop us a line with your comments or suggestions. See us on Facebook or visit our website at OurTownDC.com. Our special thanks to Ken Hunter, our technical director, and WMAL Radio in Washington, D.C. And thanks to Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance.